There, everyone. My name is Deborah Lassiter, and I am the founder of DCL Ministries and the author of Beyond the Face of the Movies. Something tells me you already know that. I hope you missed me. I missed you. Welcome back. Welcome back to this weekly program that I try to put on every week. I want to talk with you today about the active Gospel of Mark. It is a gospel that was written by John Mark in Rome between the 40s and 60s. This is the first century. And of course, again, John Mark was a companion of Peter. Mark was very concerned with making sure he wrote this gospel, taking the accuracy, making sure he was accurate in his details when he had gotten this information from Peter. And he was not necessarily always about the organization or the order, the chronological order. This is why probably in this gospel you see that it seems to be out of order compared to the other synoptic gospels. However, this active, beautiful Gospel of Mark really focuses on the Redeemer and the servant of Jesus Christ. Keep in mind that the synoptic Gospels are really like they're like a biography of Jesus Christ. So look at them as different perspectives, not necessarily that they're wrong or inaccurate, but that they're different perspectives from each person who had a different audience in mind. The Gospel of Mark was written with Gentiles in mind. So this is why you would see different sort of things within this gospel. Just a little bit to explain to you before we move on to our subject. But what I would love to focus on today, to drop into your spirit, is something called the Messianic secret. Now, I'll break that down for you. But in this gospel, you'll see often Jesus heal someone. So like the lepers, he'll heal a leper and he'll say, "Don't tell anyone." And you kind of, you read that and you think to yourself, okay, there's probably a reason behind this, but we keep going. And again, in the Gospels, or the Gospel of Mark, I should say specifically, we see again when Peter at Caesarea Philippi, he reveals that the Father has told him that Jesus is Christ, that Jesus is Lord, and that he is the Son of God. And again, Jesus looks around and he says to all the disciples, I don't want you to tell anyone. Well, as someone that's reading the Bible, it's very confusing. Why wouldn't you want someone to know Jesus? Isn't that why you came? Don't you want people to know who you are? Not necessarily all the time. Sometimes God will give us things, he'll share things with us, but he wants to share it only with us for that time being. One of the reasons why Christ would say, especially to the disciples, that I don't want you to say anything yet, they didn't have the full understanding. In reality, they would not have actually the full understanding until his resurrection. A lot of the things that Jesus spoke about, and again, he spoke in parables, so that they would have a better understanding once his resurrection came, once he died and he rose again. For example, think about when you were a child and your parents would be telling you something and say, well, you're not old enough to really know now, but when you get older, you'll understand. Maybe you're trying to go out on a hot date with this guy, or maybe you're sitting there and you're like, Mom, Dad, I know that I should buy this car right now. And your parents are telling you, I'm telling you, you're going to need that money down the road for something else. This is poor example, but keep in mind, a lot of times in life, we don't understand until much later in life. And so sometimes God will drop something into your spirit. Perhaps he'll give you a vision. Perhaps he'll give you a dream. Perhaps you're going to feel really strong in your heart that, I feel driven to do a particular thing. Oh, I encourage you this week. Hold it between you and the Lord. Share it, marinate on it, just like Christ did with the disciples. Can you imagine he revealed this answer to them and they were walking around with the knowledge that he is the Son of God? No one else really knew. There was implications. He was raising the dead and he was feeding and healing and teaching and preaching. But the disciples knew the truth. Can you imagine walking around? And I know most of us want to spill our beans. We get excited about a piece of information that we actually get, maybe a piece of gossip that you shouldn't be spreading around. And I encourage you, not about the gossip, no gossip, but I encourage you, if you have a vision that the Lord has given you, write it down as it says in the scriptures. Hold on to it, marinate it with the Lord, and Watch God blossom it inside of you, strengthen it inside your inner man, strengthen it inside of you so that when you're ready to present it to the world, you're strong enough to handle the promise. You're strong enough to live the promise, and you're strong enough to dwell in the promised land. So that's my advice for you this week. Hold it in the bosom of your heart. Marinate on it. Cultivate it. Let God strengthen your character as he builds that vision inside of you and gives you full understanding, not partial, but full. And I will see you again next week. God bless you.